What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Rolling the Bottom podcast. I'm your host, Zach Moore. Hope you're doing well whenever you are listening to this one. Here to talk all things NASCAR racing this past weekend at Circuit of the Americas, the NASCAR Cup Series, and the NASCAR Rally Series. And then we'll highlight the Craftsman Truck Series race, as well as the Rally Series race. The Craftsman Truck Series race had a double header with IndyCar. IndyCar kicked off their season at St. Petersburg. The Craftsman Truck Series race, I didn't see much of it because I was outside enjoying the Pennsylvania weather, but that was actually a really good race. The highlights, a lot of people were impressed by how clean that race was and how good it was. People thought it was going to be a little bit of a mess because it's a street race, tight walls. There were still a lot of instances, but I thought it was a lot cleaner than what people expected, especially me. So I gotta give a lot of credit to those truck series drivers. Now let's get into it. What we're gonna spend most of our time: the NASCAR Cup Series race at Circuit of the Americas, the third race of the season. Tyler Reddick goes back to back to back, 3 in a row, the first driver in NASCAR history to do that. We're witnessing NASCAR history, people. This will probably never happen again in the history of the world, our lifetime. It's just impressive. All the things have to go right for Tyler Reddick to the way he has to win the Daytona 500, survive that mayhem, then go to Atlanta, has probably the best car, gets wrecked, has no front fender, then has to drive his way back through the field, and then in the second overtime restart, everything to work out where his lane, Bubba Wallace went up, made a block, and gave him the lead on the bottom. And then to get a push from Chase Briscoe to take the lead on the final lap, to lead the final lap, to win that race. And then come to COTA, sits on the pole, struggles in the first stage. But according to Billy Scott, Tyler and his crew chief, just conserving those tires. And then after that stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, he dominated. We had a late race restart after a caution. It was the 45 versus the 97 of SVG. SVG was right on Tyler Reddick's bumper, but Reddick made no mistakes. And then as laps went, clicked and clicked and clicked, and 97 fell off. I think Reddick won the race by like 3.5 seconds against SVG, who's considered the best road course racer in NASCAR. Just super impressive, but so many things have to go right for Tyler Reddick, right? You got to think about, just the fact that their pit crew, they didn't make any mistakes, right? The spotters, at those super speedways, they did their job, did a great job, right? The strategy, right? The way the cautions flew, everything just worked out the way it needed to work out for the 45 team. But also the 45 team brought fast race cars. And that's one thing you got to give a lot of credit for 2011. Whatever they are doing there, they are figuring it out there, especially, and at least for the 45 team. And yeah, this race, like I just said, Reddick, slow start in stage 1. We were worried because he was on the pole, lost the lead. We were worried he didn't have the short run speed. But then, like we heard, tires were important. Tires mattered. Just conservative stuff there in stage 1. In stage 2 and 3, he showed why he was the fastest car and in the field, and their pit crew did a great job. Strategy worked out. And then, held off to win the best in SVG. It is truly crazy to think about, what the stuff that 2011 went through in the offseason. I've been saying it in my recent podcast. The fact you literally sued NASCAR, you got the settlement, you got what you wanted, you made NASCAR give you what you wanted, which I think was best for the sport overall. And then to come out here and win the first 3 races of the season after not winning a single race. Tyler Reddick didn't win a single race last year. Bubba Wallace was the only one that won a race for 2011. So that was the start. It's just crazy. And now Tyler Reddick in 2311 will attempt to be, I believe, the 9th driver ever to have won 4 races in a row. And the last driver to do it is Jimmy Johnson in 2007. So some more history up for grabs for 2011 in the future. We got Phoenix next week. That's a track that Reddick has been fast at, so we'll see what he can bring. Momentum is very important in overall in sports. So the 45 has proven why momentum is a big deal in sports. So I have a chance to go for a 4-peat Um, it was also great to see the energy and the excitement that Michael Jordan had. Now he's been showing that since Daytona, but just to see how excited he gets, how pumped he gets, I always enjoyed that Fox is able to get an interview from him, and it's just cool to see the joy he has for the sport. Now, this race, man, um, there's a lot that there was things that happened. I would say the first two stages were kind of straightforward. He had a spin here, the 4-car spun there in stage one. Oh no, actually it was stage two. Never mind. I think it was pretty calm, clean, and collected. In stage one, I think Chase Briscoe in the first 8 laps was able to get the lead there, and then Ryan Blaney looked super freaking fast, took the lead there, and then Ryan Blaney led it until he chose to short pit or pit before the stage ends. That's kind of how road course works. If you want to win the race, you pit before the stage. Guys that are just trying to get points, go and get their stage points. Just a strategy that's kind of worked out. So a lot of guys like Blaney pitted. Blaney, Reddick, Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano, the 5, the 20, the 24. A lot of those top 10 guys that were up front all chose the short pit. That's what then gave Ross Chastain the lead. Stage 2, we saw the 45 regain control of the lead off the pit stops. He took control of the lead over the 12, and that was kind of how stage 2 was. But on that first restart of stage 2, we saw the 88 of Conner Zilisch go for a spin. Conner Zilisch, I think, qualified 25th and just kind of worked his way back up inside that top 10. And then he got spun by Daniel Suarez, his former teammate, the guy that replaced him, the guy that Zilisch replaced. Daniel Suarez looked like he was trying to make a move, make a pass, or get below Zilisch, but he just nipped the bumper of Zilisch, and Zilisch went for a spin. It would not be the first time Zilisch would go for a spin. We'll talk about his late race spin later. But that was really the main thing there. Felt terrible for Zilisch. The 4-car, Gragson went for a spin later on. And then what was really odd is, Ross Chastain, he wins stage 1, and then, has to start way back in the pack. And he ended up, I think, finishing 15th, or he was running like 15th in stage 2. Going from leading to then 15th in the stage and just sitting there. He was up front. He was battling. He was inside the top 5 the entire stage 1. It wasn't like he won the stage because of course he won the stage because some of the guys in front of him pitted, but he wasn't like he was outside the top 10 and 10 guys in front of him pitted, and that's why he won stage 1. No, he was fast, but he got stuck there. And then, as normal in this road course racing that we talked about, a lot of leaders that didn't want stage points pit early to keep their track position up front, and then that's what then allowed Ty Gibbs to win stage 2. Literally, there was only 5 guys, I think, that stayed out. And there might have been a couple of cars in the back of the pack in the 30s that were a couple laps down that chose to stay out. Reddick ended up finishing 5th. He was a leader in stage 2. He ended up finishing 5th and coming back so he pitted before the stage ended and still finished 5th because of his speed. So that was impressive. That was good. Those are good stage points for Ty Gibbs. Take those stage points. And then stage 3 was definitely the most eventful stage of the entire race. Ty Reddick took the lead on the restart there. When we ended up seeing at the 43 spin, he took like a hard left back. Like he went a wide around turn 1 and came back on the racetrack and then just made contact with the 77 and went spinning. We saw the 19. He had a transmission issue. Like one of the back wheels was spinning, the other one wasn't. So his day was ending because of a mechanical issue. And this was where we got some intriguing strategies. The 20, I believe, was the first car to pit with like 33 to go. They ended up choosing to do like a 2-stop strategy, and it actually did end up paying out for them. They didn't make that second pit stop until there was a caution for Ross Chastain because of a loose wheel. So that'll definitely be a suspension for Jack Manning rear tire changer. And then around with 26 to go before that caution, that's where we had the 45 and the 12 both pitted. It was side by side coming out of the pit row, and the 45 was able to accelerate quick enough to take the lead. That was super important there. Clean air was important. And then During the caution, I guess the 48 of Alex Bowman was not feeling great. He pulled into the back. And then Myatt Snyder, who races in the All-Rally Auto Parts Series, jumped in his car. At the time, I guess Jamie Little from Fox Sports, a very, very good pit reporter. I guess Myatt Snyder was doing pit reporting with Jamie Little. He was just learning how to be a pit reporter. Talking to Jamie Little, kind of, I guess, being um, taught in a way, or kind of just being Jamie Little's right hand person, learning the ropes. And I guess according to Jamie Little, Chad Knauston came over to her and asked her if Myatt Snyder can come and drive the 48 car. I'm paraphrasing there, but yeah, that's how it sounded like it went. And then I saw like Brad Perez was posting a text exchange what he had with Myatt Snyder. I guess Myatt was asking Brad Perez some tips on some of the turns when it came to the braking in some of the turns, dude. It was just wild. Pretty cool for Myatt Snyder to get in that car. He had his fire suit on him. He had his helmet with him. So that's pretty crazy. Um, it was all just happening all fast. I don't think Hendrick Motorsports had a backup driver for him or for Alex Bowman or anyone. Kind of wild. So yeah, he got in there and finished the race for Alex. Feels terrible for Alex because he was not feeling great. Now I know a lot of other drivers were not feeling so great either, including AJ Allmendinger, who I think fell to the ground just of exhaustion. I don't think he like passed out, but he was laying on the ground when they showed him post race. So the heat really got to him. But yeah, really, really cool though for Myatt Snyder to get an opportunity to race in the Cup Series for Hendrick Motorsports in that 48 car. But hopefully, both AJ Allmendinger and Alex Bowman were released from the care center. So that's good to hear. But then with that caution, we had a late restart. And all that time, Conner Zilisch worked his way back into contention, right there into the top five, I believe he was, to restart there. And then going into turn one and the final restart of the race, Hamlin got loose, and I believe Hamlin got into the 24, and then the 24 got into the 2, and then the 2 got into the 38, and then spun out the 8, 88. So Zilisch, both times he was in top 10 position. So really now, all right, I'm in a good position to start making some passes to get up front here. Maybe battle from this lead. He got spun out. He was fast. I just don't think he got a chance to show it. But he still ended up finishing 14th, and that was with around like 17 laps to go when he got spun out there. We talked about how he got spun earlier in the race by Daniel Suarez. Yeah, this race would have been very intriguing if Zilisch, was able to stay in that top five because he was hitting some very fast lap times, and he said him personally, he drove his best race ever, but he didn't really get to show it. He didn't get to, the result doesn't show for it. So definitely a terrible type of way for Conner's race to go for him. That kind of making sense. Definitely a bummer for Conner Zilisch. That's a better way to look at it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then we kind of, after that, the last major thing was then SVG was hounding down on Tyler Reddick. And I thought, oh, it's over. SVG finally, second place, has got to force Tyler Reddick into a mistake. But Reddick just hit his marks, and SVG could never get in a position where he could make, the pass on Reddick. It was just impressive. And then, I mean, with around 15 laps to go, really around 10 laps to go, is when really SVG started to fade. Just didn't have the grip he needed in his car. His tires were wearing out. But all that time, then Christopher Bell, who pitted, I think he was the only one that pitted twice, that was like in the lead up front. He pitted twice and ended up finishing third, ran third. I thought maybe that he could have challenged for the win there if the SVG and the 45 got racing, but never worked out. But still, what a great run for the 20. Great points day for him. And then, yeah, hold on. The 45 of Tyler Reddick went on to win the race, as we know. 3 in a row. First time in history that a driver has won the first three races of the season. Now, I did forget two things I wanted to talk about with stage 3. Micheal McDowell was trying to run long there after all the leaders pitted. He had, I think, almost a 10-second lead. Maybe a little bit less than that, but it would have been interesting there to see if he got a caution with like 10 laps to go, right? If the leaders would have pitted for tires, and then he could have been in position to have a chance to restart top 5 and have a chance to win this race. But we didn't get a caution late enough. I think we got a caution with just above 20 laps to go. So he had to pit, lost track position. I forget where he finished there. But yeah, his strategy didn't work out. But I mean, the 71 tried some strategy in Daytona, and it almost worked. If the caution didn't come out, it would have been very intriguing where he would have landed out there. He might have won the race with the strategy where they chose to. Didn't pit there at the end of the Daytona 500, but a caution came out and ruined that one. And then a caution here cost him a chance to see where the strategy would have laid out for him, or played out, as I should say. And then also Kyle Busch and some RCR teammates got a little roughed up there. The 8 pretty much just drove the 33 into the 17 because the 33 was like blocking the 8 into turn 20. Like, didn't give the 8 looked like he was faster trying to make a move, and the 33 just kind of blocked him. And Kyle Busch said, we ain't doing that. Just drove the 33 to the back of 17. Fell back Chris Buescher. He was having a good race. And he was running inside the top 10. At that point, I think he was outside. That was like for outside the top 15. So I'm not sure if it was just the lack of speed or strategy that hurt him, and that's why he was racing back there with those guys. But yeah, teammates going at it. Jesse Love, this is only his second year racing in the Cup Series part-time, and Kyle Busch, as we all know, the 20-plus year veteran. He ain't taking crap from a young rookie like Jesse Love. Racing hard, though. Probably going to be a good learning experience for Jesse Love. But yeah, those are the two other things I wanted to just bring up from that stage 3. Now, the race stats overall. There was 3 cautions for 10 laps. The only other caution was for Ross Chastain on lap 76 of 95 laps there for the loose wheel. Ross Chastain is probably going to be having a couple of crew members suspended there, probably the jackman, the rear tire changer, whoever was responsible for that wheel. And the other 2 cautions were for the stage conclusions. 13 lead changes. A couple lead changes there, probably with the pit stops, the way it all plays out. You have a lot of the leads flip-flopping there. And then there was 9 drivers that led laps. 9 drivers that led laps on the road course. It didn't feel like that from the race. Did not feel like that at all. Reddick led the most laps, led more than half of the race with 58 laps led. And then Ryan Blaney, who was really fast, probably the second fastest car there. He kind of fell off there at the end of stage 3 there. Led 11 laps. And then Chase Briscoe led 8 laps, and Ty Gibbs led 5 laps, and Micheal McDowell led 5 laps as well. Yeah, that was kind of race stats. Like we talked about, first 2 stages were kind of quiet, chill, and then stage 3 with a lot of different strategies, drivers being more desperate. That's where it got really, really intriguing. If I were to get this race on a Rollie rate, I'm going to probably give it like a 6.9. 6.9. First 2 stages were kind of calm, quiet. Not a lot happens. Kind of your typical not short track racing, kind of your typical road course racing for next gen. And then stage 3 was really good, and it made it very intriguing. So that's where I get that 6.9 from, for me personally. Now looking at our finishing results, just want to highlight some of the main drivers that had some notable finishes. Tyler Reddick, of course, wins stage 1. So Shane Van Gisbergen, he finishes second. And I want to bring up something about him. A lot of people have talked about, oh my gosh, Shane's so incredible on road courses. Once he figures out the ovals, watch out. Watch what he can do. Top 10s could definitely be a reasonable thing for SVG every single weekend if he figures these ovals out, right? And he had a top 6 finish last week in Atlanta. That was his best career finish. Super impressive. But then, what happens if people figure him out and he doesn't become as dominant on road courses? I still think he'll be a top 5 guy at every road course, but what if he doesn't win as many? Then he's going to lose some of that ability. And now with Zilisch, too, I think Zilisch will end up figuring out this car, and he showed. The 2 restarts, he got wiped out. He was inside the top 10. He worked his way up there. He had the speed to do it and the ability to do it. I think you're going to end up seeing a Zilisch versus SVG battle here in the Cup Series this season. And I think SVG is going to miss out on some points because of that. So just because SVG may be getting better on the ovals, it doesn't mean he'll still be as dominant on the road courses, because these guys are figuring out these road courses because they're putting a bigger priority in trying to be better on these things. These cars, they're staying the same. Bigger tires, bigger brakes, sequential shifter, right? They're not making mistakes. So the Cup guys are also getting really, really good at them too. And COTA is the one track that SVG hasn't won at yet in the Cup car. This is the one road course he still hasn't figured out in his 3 years of running here. So maybe this is just more of a COTA thing, and SVG will continue to be so dominant. But I still, like I said, I expect Conner Zilisch to be a guy that competes against SVG for a couple of these road course wins this season. But still, a great finish for SVG. He's going to be great in the points. Chris Buescher, we talked about in this podcast, great strategy call, going for a 2-tire stop, finished third. Ty Gibbs won stage 2, fourth, buckling it down, tried some strategy there. To run long there, got a caution late, didn't work out for him. Fifth, though, still great finish, though, for him. Sixth, Kyle Larson was up in the top 10 all day. Chase Elliott, another guy who was back and forth. I think he was outside the top 20 at one point and then got himself back in the top 7. That's good for him there. Ryan Blaney, 8th. Another guy who led I think 11 laps, was really fast, but just not where he needed to be compared to Reddick. That's why he ended up coming home. He actually, I think, kind of fell off too with those tires. Probably didn't do a good enough job conserving those tires. Finished 8th. 9th, AJ Allmendinger, we talked about. AJ Allmendinger I think he fell to the ground with some exhaustion, so he was tired. It looked like a lot of guys were tired, a lot of guys worn out. But luckily, everyone I've seen on social media was able to be cleared from the infield care center, so that's great. Denny Hamlin finishes 10th. His first next-gen top 10 on a road course. I saw something from John Newby saying that he was talking to Denny, and he said his shoulder that he tore. He announced earlier before the season he re-tore his shoulder. And he said his shoulder held up. He'll be sore though tomorrow. But this, to him, was like a win-win. Like, this feels like a win to him to finish top 10. I mean, finish top 10 on a road course for Denny Hamlin in this era of his career is, you don't expect that from him. So, really, really impressive for Denny to come out top 10 at age 45. It shows he's probably been putting a lot more work in these road courses, and it's paying off for him. So that's really, really impressive. That's got to feel even better. His driver wins his third race of the season, his team, and then he comes out and finishes top 10. What a day for Denny Hamlin. Moving on, Bubba Wallace 11th, Kyle Busch 12th. Kyle Busch was really good here last year, just didn't have it today and for this race. Kind of surprising. 13th was William Byron, 14th Conner Zilisch. Like we talked about, Conner Zilisch got spun out twice. Really felt bad for him because I think he had a really good opportunity to at least finish top 5 in this race. 15th was Joey Logano, 16th Ty Dillon, 17th John Hunter Nemechek, 18th Ryan Preece, 19th Austin Dillon, and 20th Brad Keselowski. Chris Buescher, after getting spun there by Jesse Love, finished 24th. Daniel Suarez, who's another guy who bowed up front, in stage 2, just must have fell off strategy-wise or speed-wise, and he ended up finishing 25th. Jesse Love was 27th. Carson Hocevar on the final lap got spun. I still don't know if he had help or not. Probably did. It was on the front stretch there. Finished 31st, but luckily got fired back up. And then, as we know, Ross Chastain finished 35th there after a loose wheel. Probably damaged some underbody. And then Alex Bowman, as we know, Myatt Snyder filled in for him after having just not feeling so well. And then we knew that Chase Briscoe had some mechanical issues there, and that's why he finished 37th, which was last in this race. All right, now looking at our point standings. Currently, Tyler Reddick has a 70-point lead over Bubba Wallace in the point standings. Chase Elliott is minus 72 and third to Tyler Reddick. Ryan Blaney is minus 86, fourth to Tyler Reddick. Shane Van Gisbergen is fifth in the point standings. minus 96. Joey Logano is 6th in the point standings, minus 96. Daniel Schwartz is 7th in the point standings, minus 99. AJ Allmendinger is 8th in the point standings, minus 100, back to Tyler Reddick. Micheal McDowell is 9th in the point standings, minus 103, back from Tyler Reddick. Carson Osvar is 10th in the standings, minus 104, back in the point standings. And then Chris Buescher, 11th, is minus 105, back to Tyler Reddick in the point standings. William Minus 13th in the point standings, minus 110 to Tyler Reddick. Zane Smith, 14th in the point standings, is minus 111 to Tyler Reddick. And then Kyle Larson, 15th in the point standings, 113 points back to Tyler Reddick. And then rounding out the top 16, which, as we know, 16 drivers make the chase. Ryan Preece is 16th in the point standings, minus 118 points back. And then Ty Gibbs is only, 3 points back to Ryan Preece in the top 16. And 17th, 121 points back. Ty Dillon is 19th in the points, 121 points back from Ty Reddick. He's only 3 points back from Ty Gibbs. Ross Chastain is 4 points back from Ryan Preece in top 16. He's 20th in the points. John Hardinchek is minus 123 points back from Ty Reddick, but he is only 5 points back from Ryan Preece in the 16th spot. And then Kyle Busch is minus 125, which that would be he is 6 points back from. No, he's actually 7 points back. No, wait. No. Yeah, 7 points back. Kyle Busch is 7 points back from 16th in Ryan Preece. And then Denny Hamlin is minus 126 from Tyler Reddick, but that would then mean he is 9 points back, actually, to Ryan Preece in the top 16 spot, or the 16th spot. And then I'll look at Chris Rebel in 24th in the point standings, minus 127, which that means he is 8 points back, 9 points back from Ty Gibbs. So Denny Hamlin actually is 7 points back from, he's 8 points back. Christopher Bell is 9 points back from Ryan Preece. We're getting this stuff all mixed up. I'm getting all over the place here with this point standings. I apologize if you guys are kind of losing me there. But that's where it's at. Really crazy though that Tyler Reddick has a 70-point lead already in the first 3 races, man. And a lot of guys that he's going to be competing for a championship with are still like outside the top 10 in points. So I'm so excited to see how these point standings kind of shape out and change throughout the season, especially now that we're going to be getting to some of our really good cookie cutter tracks. Our Phoenix, our Las Vegas, our Darlington, and Martinsville. Should be really, really good. That's Cup Series race, guys. Overall, I thought it was a good stage 3, and there's still plenty of stuff to talk about from this race. So that was hopefully that was a good review for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys were able to follow along there when it came to covering the Cup Series race. Now, O'Reilly Series race, Shane Van Gisbergen won. He was the best car. Conner Zilisch had some brake issues in the O'Reilly Series race that cost him a chance to compete with Shane Van Gisbergen there for the entire race. He was up front with Shane Van Gisbergen battling for the lead there in stage 1 until he had some issues there. The big talking point from the O'Reilly Series race was Corey Day. With 3 laps to go, exiting turn 1, Corey Day came down and just flat out wrecked Conner Zilisch, who was working his way back through the field. This was for a top 5 spot. Wrecked Conner Zilisch and ended Conner Zilisch's top 5 day. Corey Day, super talented guy. Finished 5th in this race, finished 5th last weekend, but guess what? Last weekend in Atlanta, he had 2 wrecks. He wrecked Ryan Sieg in a 3-wide move in the middle, and then he ended up wrecking Carson Guapo and Justin Allgaier battling for the lead. Also in that race, in the past 2 weeks, he's wrecked guys. Chevy guys, too. Chevy guys. Not a good look for him. He's super talented. He has a lot of speed, like Carson Osenbar, but he's got a figuring out a way to hone it in. I know he's young, but when you're being hyped up by Hendrick Motorsports themselves, you need to be held to a higher standard. And his post-race interview almost seemed like he wasn't trying. He was like, oh, he was talking about his splitter was up off the ground. He may have lost some grip there, and he didn't take 100% of the blame. It was like he was almost like blaming his car to why he crashed into Conner Zilisch, man. Um, I did see something about, Rick Hendrick had a sit-down conversation with Ross Chastain after Ross Chastain wrecked Kyle Larson, the 5 car, um, after at Darlington. Is Rick Hendrick going to sit down with his own guy, Corey Day, and have the same conversation about how you're getting a little too aggressive, you're wrecking too many cars? I would hope so, because now it's flipped on Rick Hendrick. You've been talking about, oh, Ross Chastain's racing a little too hard. Well, now one of your own guys in the O'Reilly series is doing the same thing. So you got to talk to him. But look, Corey Day is super freaking fast. That's one thing. He definitely is showing he has the talent, the ability, but he's got to figure out a way not to wreck and destroy people's cars and other people's equipment, especially when you're wrecking a junior motorsports car. Past 2 weeks, that's not great either. Conner Zilisch was not happy, called Corey Day a hack. But yeah, I'll be interested to see if Corey Day can clean it up next week in Phoenix. Another track I think he ran pretty good at last season there when he had some part-time starts there with the 17 for Hendrick Motorsports. But yeah, that was really SVG won. He had some great racing there. Made an incredible pass there where he passed the 2 cars, Jesse Love, and he passed the 41 of Sam Mayer for the lead and gave him the peace sign as he went by him. That was pretty freaking insane. Looking at the top 10 results for the O'Reilly Series race, Shane Van Gisbergen was first, second Austin Hill, third Sammy Smith, fourth Jesse Love, fifth Corey Day, sixth Brent Cruz, seventh Williamson Walsh, eighth Justin Allgaier, ninth Ross Chastain, and 10th Brendan Poole. That is your O'Reilly Series race. I thought overall it was really good. A lot of guys making mistakes. Nice thing about the O'Reilly Series cars is they're smaller tires, smaller brakes. A lot of possibilities to make mistakes and spin out. And that's what I like to see when it comes to that type of racing. And then the Craftsman Truck Series at St. Petersburg. Lane Riggs won that race. I think the top 4 was all Fords. I think it was Lane Riggs and then Ty Majeski and then Ben Rhodes and then Chandler Smith. It was top 4 were all Fords. Ford up there. Ty Majeski made a last lap attempt for a bumper. Couldn't get to him. Came at the racetrack. And Lane Riggs gets the win in that Long John Silver's truck. Really cool. I didn't get to see much of it. I was outside enjoying the nice weather with my friends, playing some football. It's rare you get 57 degrees in PA and in the wintertime, so I enjoyed some of that. But then I watched the first part of the race before I left, and then I watched the highlights. And Dario Franchitti was in the top 10 most of the race. And then I think he had a bad pit stop, and then after that, I think that's what cost him to have a bad finish. But it was really cool to see Dario back. This was his first competitive race since 2013 when he had a massive crash in, I think it was the Houston Grand Prix. Had a head injury, spinal injury, a gnarly crash. So for him to be back in a truck, a competitive ride, he ran, I think, really well. I think he made some contact with some guys, but he was running top 10. That was a good truck. I think if Dario had some more time under his belt with that truck, I think he actually could have competed for the win, maybe. I don't know, because I was more impressed. But then James Hinchcliffe, another former IndyCar guy, finished 10th in a Spire truck. He was another guy that was getting after it. He spun out one time there. So to come home 10th was really good for him. I thought this Craftsman Truck Series race was better than I think most of us expected it to be. Like, I was super, super impressed with just of course, you had some, there were some instances in the tight corners where trucks got damaged. Rear ends got bashed in, front ends got bashed in. But it wasn't like a bad look for the truck series. I thought it made the truck series look really, really good. I think it was entertaining for fans. Townsend Bell, who is a commentator for the IndyCar series, he was really, really good, really, really informative. I mean, I think that's maybe his first time covering a Truck Series race, and he sounded like he'd been covering the Truck Series race all season long. Just the information he was given, the terminology he was using, man, he was really, really fun to listen to. So, really, really enjoyed him. Your top 10 from the Truck Series race with Lane Riggs first, second, Ty Majeski, third, Ben Rhodes, fourth, Chandler Smith, fifth, Ken Honeycutt, sixth, Lennon Lewis, seventh, Andreas Perez de Lara, eighth, Daniel Hemrick, ninth, Colin Brown, 10th, James Hinchcliffe. And then Dario Franchitti ended up finishing 27th. He had a slow pit stop. I believe that's what didn't cost him to lose all his track position. But yeah, he had a lot of fun. He was worn out, it looked like there. But yeah, really cool. I think if the Truck Series wanted to, I think they should come back to St. Petersburg and do it again because I think it's a good event. I think the fans there get to see a little bit of stock car racing, right? And then they get to see IndyCar guys fly around there. Overall, guys, that's a wrap on today's podcast from COTA, some road course racing. Now we head to Phoenix Raceway for a IndyCar and NASCAR double. IndyCar will race there Saturday, the main series, as long as the O'Reilly Series race later that Saturday. And then we'll have the Cup Series race on Sunday on FS1. Gonna have plenty, to talk about from this one. Looking forward to hearing what other people have to say. I'll have a lot of my short form content from this podcast out there. And, hopefully I have another podcast out with some of the news I've missed in the past couple of weeks. Overall, guys, your support means the world. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good week. Goodbye.